I stopped believing in marriage, not because love failed me, but because people did. I watched promises fold like cheap paper in the rain. I saw forever spoken casually, then forgotten urgently. I saw rings become reminders, homes become battlegrounds, and we turn into you and me separately. So, no, it wasn't bitterness. It was observation. I learned early that love could be loud and still be empty, that loyalty could be sworn and still be rented, that vows were often just poetry spoken by people who hadn't learned discipline yet. I stopped believing in marriage the way a soldier stops believing in noise, not because silence is better, but because silence is honest. I told myself love can exist without contract. Connection can breathe without cages. Two souls don't need witnesses to be real. That was my truth, and I was at peace with it. Then you appeared, not loudly, not dramatically. You didn't arrive like a storm. You arrived like dawn, slow, certain, unannounced, yet inevitable. And suddenly, everything I had carefully concluded began quietly questioning itself. You didn't chase me. You didn't sell me dreams. You didn't promise ease. You just stood there, with eyes that carried history, with silence that felt trained, with a presence that didn't beg to be chosen. You looked like someone who understood waiting, and that scared me, because people who understand waiting usually understand commitment, and I wasn't ready to believe in that again. You spoke little, but when you did, your words arrived already measured, as if you had weighed them against consequence before allowing them air. You didn't flirt recklessly. You didn't love desperately. You loved deliberately. And I realized something terrifying. You weren't here to entertain my heart. You were here to build with it. I had met charm before. I had met passion. I had met intensity dressed as devotion, but I had never met restraint that still burned. You carried affection the way kings carry crowns, not to show power, but to honor responsibility. You made love feel serious again, not heavy, not imprisoning, serious in the way. A promise to God is serious, serious in the way. A man stands before his land is serious, serious in the way. Forever demands respect. I used to think marriage was where love went to suffocate, but you made it look like where love goes. To stand taller, you never asked me to shrink my fears. You never mocked my doubts. You listened to my disbelief like it was a wounded thing, not a flaw. And instead of arguing with my past, you simply became a different future. You didn't say, trust me. You said nothing and became trustworthy. You didn't say, I'll stay. You stayed through my silence, through my testing, through the days I half expected you to disappear like the rest, but you didn't vanish. You rooted. I noticed how you loved when no one was watching, how you respected boundaries you could have crossed, how you spoke my name like it deserved patience, how you never confused possession with protection. You didn't want to own me, you wanted to guard me. And that's when marriage started whispering again. I remembered what it was meant to be, not a ceremony, but a sanctuary, not ownership, but oath, not obligation, but alignment. Two people choosing the same direction. Even when the road stops applauding, you made me imagine things I had forbidden myself from imagining. Morning silence shared, arguments handled with dignity, a home where love isn't loud but constant, children learning strength by watching how we treat each other, a partnership that survives boredom, distance, temptation, and time. You made marriage look less like a risk and more like a responsibility worth taking. And I hated that because believing again meant I could lose again. But you didn't rush me toward belief. You let it return on its own. I started noticing how safe I felt disagreeing with you, how calm I felt around your strength, how my nervous system stopped bracing itself when you entered the room. You didn't give me butterflies. You gave me ground, and that's when I knew. This wasn't infatuation. This was recognition. I used to think marriage required blind faith, but with you, it feels like informed consent. Eyes open, past acknowledged, risks understood, still choosing. You never asked me to promise forever, but you lived like you already had, and that's the most dangerous kind of love there is. I stopped believing in marriage because I had never seen it done with honor. Then you appeared, carrying yourself like someone who doesn't confuse love with emotion, who understands that devotion is a discipline, not a mood. If I choose marriage now, it won't be because of fantasy. It will be because of you, because you taught me that commitment isn't chains, it's structure, that loyalty isn't limitation, it's focus, that forever isn't naive, it's brave. And if one day I stand beside you and say vows I once mocked, it won't be sir,